I have found that creating systems in my life is far more effective than just setting goals. In my last video, I talked about why you should set systems, and this video is about how to actually create systems. Step number one, easiest thing, is literally get out a piece of paper and a pen. Not a computer, not your phone, not some app, literally a piece of paper and a pen. It makes such a dramatic difference. Step number two is you don't need to write this part out, but just really reflect and think about where you currently are in your life. Whether that's how you feel physically, how you are mentally, kind of what job you're working, what school you're at, whatever is going on in your life, just kind of think about where you're at right now. Step number three is to write down your goals, and this has no limitations on it. They could be your biggest goals and dreams that you can't even imagine, or they could be the tiniest things ever. There's no limits here. So just let your brain flow for a couple minutes or so and just write down your goals and kind of your dreams. And if you don't have a specific goal, that's completely fine. It can be very broad, even if it's just like you want to get fit or you want to get smarter. It doesn't have to be too specific, but just really dig deep here and think of what you can come up with. Step number four is to circle just one of those goals that is the most important to you. I'm not saying you can achieve all of those, because you definitely can, but I've just found that if you take one step at a time of one goal, it's so much easier than trying to do 50 things at once. So just circle your favorite one. Step number five is probably the most important, and you have to determine why this goal is important to you. And you don't want to be having a goal that's just kind of there just to be there, because that's what the media is telling you to do. You have to do that. Find something that you genuinely care about, and it will make the process so much easier. Step number six is to write down a few steps that you think that you would need to attain that goal. You don't need to be writing a list of 10 things, maybe just 1 to 3 to 5 kind of steps that you think are important to achieve that goal. If I chose running a marathon, my steps would be I would have to run, I would have to feel my body, take care of myself, and wake up early before work so I have time to train. Right after that, step number 7 is just to get more specific about those steps. Yes, you could have been broad, but now you have to dig deeper and be so specific. You can say you want to run, but what days are you going to run? How long are you going to run? Where are you going to run? Be specific. And for the eating healthier component, what will you eat for the morning? What will you eat for lunch? What will you eat for dinner? And then for waking up earlier, you start off the first couple weeks at 7 a.m. and then eventually you stick to a solid 6 a.m. No excuses. Whatever it is, just be so specific on whatever it is that you want to do. You may be thinking that this sounds very harsh and very rigid and strict, but in reality, these habits are actually going to be creating your freedom. And I would just like to quote something from James Clear in his book Atomic Habits, and he says that habits don't restrict freedom, they create it. And I think that's so true, because you may think that this is cutting off your freedom, you can't do what you want, but again, you chose that goal, you're choosing these steps, so choose something that you genuinely want to do. And step number 8 is to turn these steps more into habits and things that you can actually apply in your life. This is the core of the system. This is so important. There's many different ways that this can happen. I think it really depends on the thing that you chose. So whatever I say, just apply it to the thing that you ended up choosing, because one thing for me may not work for someone else. But one thing is to start small. You may want to get off on the right start so high and start running 20 miles a day or whatever it is. But realistically, start a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, whatever it is. Also, the marathon example that I'm using, I am by no means training for a marathon. This is just me regularly working out and just getting some B-roll. Second thing is to be consistent. I know you've probably heard be consistent, but it is so true. And over time, the habit might get boring, so you just gotta keep going with it, keep rolling with it, try to make it somewhat fun in some way and something to look forward to. But again, if you love what you're doing so much, you most likely won't get bored of doing it. The third thing, as I said a little bit earlier, but it's just so important, you have to be so specific. When are you gonna do it and where are you gonna do it? Just be so precise and specific about it. The fourth thing, which I think is a really big one, and it is to change your environment. So if you want to run in the morning, make sure you put your gym shoes out on the floor and you lay it out. Who you surround yourself with affects your goals and your mission, and it may seem that your friends and family don't impact you and you can be like, no, I'm not going to let them affect me, but subconsciously of what they're doing, it will eventually fall onto yourself. Example, if you're trying to run that marathon, you probably don't want to surround yourself with people who are staying up till 2 in the morning or something like that, because your goal is to be waking up at 6. So how is that going to help you? To make the habit more enjoyable. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to make this thing super hard and difficult, because you're going to be doing this like a lifestyle. This is not just like a 30-day type of challenge. You want this to be something that you can look forward to. So I'm sure you can be creative, figure out a way to make it enjoyable. The next one is more of a mindset shift, but this one has helped me a crazy amount. It's really small, and it's just the wording of how you say things. And it is changing your haves to your gets. So if I have that goal of running that marathon, instead of saying I have to run in the morning, I would say I get to run in the morning. I know it's a really subtle, small thing, but it changes your whole perspective on it, that you're even allowed to do it. And when I do that for myself, I just think of how I am allowed to run, I'm allowed to do these things, I get to do it, because there are some people that aren't able to due to medical illnesses or whatever it is. You have that ability to do it, so that's a really good mindset shift that I've learned. The next thing is to keep a habit tracker. Some people like this, some people don't, so I would definitely just try it out, see if it works for you. And it doesn't have to be for every single habit. You can just pick one habit and just always track it down. It doesn't need to be a fancy calendar or anything like that. You can literally take a note card or a sticky note and write down a date and then put an X every single time that you do it. And that's kind of like a little reward system also, because every time you finish the habit, you get to put a little X, and it kind of feels like you accomplished something for the day. And the next one is to not aim for perfection. This is an issue that I've had myself. It's like you start this journey of this new habit and you're going good a couple days, and then shit just hits the fan. Something happens that's out of your control, and you miss the workout. And I used to be like, oh my gosh, I gotta wait till next week or next Monday to start. But in reality, it's not always gonna be perfect. Just get up and start the next day. It's fine if you missed one day, but just don't let it affect the other days. Just keep that momentum going and just keep going with it. This list can go on and on and on. There's so many different things, but at the end of the day, I think the most important one is just to simply take action, because nothing is going to happen if you don't act upon it. We're almost done. We're at number 9 right now, and that is adjusting. Over time, your goal and your habits may change, and that is completely okay. You're always changing, you're always developing, your environment's changing, things are always constantly changing. So if you have to change your goal and your habits, that is completely fine. And number 10 is to literally just forget about that goal. And rather focus on the system that you just created of all your steps and your habits, and my advice that I was talking about on how to actually do it. If you wrote down a lot of things, it may be a little overwhelming, but just take it step by step, focus one thing at a time. You don't need to be doing 50 things at once, because when you have so much energy, focus on a million different things, it's never gonna grow. You gotta focus on one thing, let that grow, and then if you wanna pick up a new habit, do that while this one still grows. So take your time with this, and overall just trust the process and just do your best. You got this. Comment down below what kind of system you have in your life, or one that you are gonna be trying to work on. And just wanted to say that there are probably like 100 million different ways in which you can create your system and achieve your goals, but this video is just what has helped me and a bunch of knowledge and information that I've gathered from different resources, such as like podcasts, some books, watching some people's videos that are similar to this, just to see different things. But I came up with most of this outline kind of by myself, and it has worked for me, and just know that what works for me may not work for you. So you just gotta try out different things and just see what works for you. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and actually maybe apply some of it into your life. But thank you so much for watching, and make sure to stick around for some more videos. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Bye.